Welcome to Horrifically Well Read, Bled, and Said. It is my pleasure today to introduce Don Campbell, who is the author of three exceptional stories, short story collection, and two other uh, fabulous books. I can't wait to talk about all of them. Welcome to the show, Don.
Thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure.
It is. We connected on Instagram. You asked a question and I looked at you, I'm like, do you want to come on the show? You're like, I wasn't really asking to do that, but like, sure. And I was like, well, I want to read everything. And then you sent me all your stuff and I was immediately traumatized and loved it. So listeners, I want to tell you, it was really fun. We have three books, like I said, to talk about the short stories and then two other ones, but I had read, um, two of them, and then the one I listened to on Audible. And I had reviewed and told you that I was listening to it really late at night, like around 1 a.m.
First mistake.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was like, oh my God, I do not like this antagonist. And
The voice.
yes. So I've been telling Adam this whole time and like, I was like, maybe it's just me. And so I want to get into that, but I want you to know he had a similar reaction. So it's horrifying. So we'll get into that. But I just thought that was fun. But so first we always like to ask like your experience with horror like in the past. And then we want to talk about how each of these books are just so different and fabulous and really want to spend time on each one of them a little bit. So go in and tell us a little bit about, have you always been a horror reader? What was your experience with that? Any of the details?
Yeah, so I've always loved reading horror. It's been a like a big escape for me. I find horror is a very honest genre for reading. But it all started with film. I loved being scared. I loved a story that would make you feel a bit uncomfortable. I think it teaches you a lot about yourself with when you put yourself in the position of the like protagonist in these stories. If you hear my son,
Yeah, that's completely fine. We don't mind guests
he's
joining.
he's running around making airplane noises. I'll actually gonna
I
try and
love
see if I
that.
can get him. If you bear with me, I'm just gonna see if I can get
No,
him
it's completely fine.
entertained.
And he's running around making airplane noises. I
Making
love it.
He's very cute.
He just had a birthday, right?
Yes, he did. So I've got no, my eldest it was his birthday was recent. He was 19, my
Wow.
eldest, but the little chap you could hear just now making airplane noises is Jacob. He is non-verbal autistic. So he has the best spirit in the world, and he's one of the most amazing people I've ever had the pleasure of being around.
I
But
love it.
he also doesn't know the meaning of volume.
I
So
love it.
when he gets excited, he can't really control his. It's sort of like a verbal stimming. So he like mimics noises that he's heard around, which is
Yeah.
quite cute. But he's absolutely
So he's
gorgeous.
so he's like really excited for you that you're doing the show.
Well, it was funny because he can't actually see you. He can only see me, and I have headphones on. He
Okay.
he can't hear you either. So while I'm speaking, he was looking at me like, "Who are you speaking to?" And then and, then he was answering what I was saying. So then that's the starting him off chatting away. So yeah, bless him, he's gorgeous. So yeah,
Love it.
so back on topic. Yeah, so I loved horror from a young age. I enjoyed being scared. I don't know what it is in the human experience where, I think being scared has a similar feeling as adrenaline,
Hmm.
like when you get excited about something.
Yeah.
But I think it's a lot easier to get scared of something than get excited for something.
Yeah, that's really interesting too. I always wonder, especially when I'm speaking to somebody in the UK that, grew up a horror fan, did you suffer from some of the lack of availability of movies? Because I know there was some serious like censorship for a long time in horror films. Was it hard to find something that wanted to see there?
Yeah, so I did hear occasionally this was banned, but I never seemed to struggle to get hold of it. So things like,
Okay.
I know Child's Play was banned for a while in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
I guess children were getting exposed to it quite young and got fearful of their toys. But to
Well,
me,
good. I mean, I know I did, and I wish it were banned. I know a lot of people don't like that, but yeah, okay. I see why. Go on.
I think that Child's Play is just like the adult version of Toy Story, really.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Really, it's the
Obviously,
same vibes, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Woody and Chucky look similar, even.
yeah, a little bit more stabby,
Yeah,
but in Entity, what it did is it made me really, really, really nice to my toys.
you know. See, that's a
Just on
good
the
thing, right?
You know
just on the
what?
off
At first, I
chance.
thought you were joking, but now I'm like, you know what? I could kind of see it.
Yeah, so yeah, because I remember I watched Chucky very young. I must have been single digits when I first saw the original Child's Play. So I think I
Oh,
must have been about 9. So I was very young, I think, if I remember rightly. But it was, yeah, it was terrifying, absolutely
mhm.
terrifying. And then I remember thinking, oh, he looked really familiar. This good guy doll.
Yeah,
He looked so familiar. I don't think I even watched the whole thing. I think it scared me so much that I didn't finish it. But I
yeah,
remember thinking he looked very similar to Chucky from Rugrats.
yes,
Oh my God, you're right. He
yeah,
really does.
And then it ruined Rugrats because whenever, like, is it Angelica, the
yeah.
big
The
Yes.
bossy girl?
older
What?
cousin, yeah.
Yeah, when she was being rude to him, I thought you don't. Like, I remember thinking you don't know what he's capable of.
Oh my God.
Like, you want to be nice to him.
Yes.
I saw him in something else.
That's so fun.
You're like speaking my language here because I wasn't like a huge cartoon fan like as a kid, but like really, really loved Rugrats and just the whole dynamic
Yeah,
between them. But like Angelica was so mean and like her doll Cynthia, I feel like some days I wake up looking like her with my hair. Just like
that
I love that
poor
idea
doll.
though that it's like this, Chucky is he's really
he's
just
a
slowly he's making you think he's so fearful and just bringing you
yes.
in and
Oh
then
my God.
Yeah. That
You
now
don't know
go
what it's
rewatch an episode with that in mind, and you'll get what I mean.
done deal.
Yeah. So like cartoon wise, that was one of my childhood favourites. That and Hey Arnold. I don't know why. I tried to watch an episode of Hey Arnold. I don't know if you have that over there.
Oh yeah, that yeah, big Nickelodeon.
Yeah,
Yep.
football head thing.
Yeah.
I tried to
Exactly.
watch it. That doesn't age well. I tried to watch an episode of that. It wasn't fab.
Yeah. It's pretty depressing too, from what I remember.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't age well at all. But
Interesting. I'm gonna have to do a double feature to see exactly what's not aging well about it. But I'm always interested. I watched some Are You Afraid of the Dark? I don't know if you had that over there,
yes,
but Are You Afraid of the Dark? And that ages better than I ever expected it to.
well, I think horror does.
Yeah.
I think, like, obviously, you guys have picked an amazing genre to base your podcast on, and it's beautiful that you guys clearly share the love for it. Like I've listened to quite a few episodes of yours, and it really does come across that you enjoy everything about the genre.
Well, it's interesting because, I think that we're probably in a similar boat that I've just always loved horror and gravitated towards it. For Rebecca, it's so much newer. And
Oh,
like,
really?
I think that I think she was very, and she's obviously here and talk about this too, but she equated horror literature and movies so much, and horror movies really bothered her for so
Right.
long. And it's not as much as it was before, but it's still there. I think the fact that the literature gets so deeper into like symbolism and metaphor and, talking about the thing that you said where it's like it's a safe way to kind of explore both like traumas and create that adrenaline
Hmm.
that it really serves so many purposes cathartically for a reader.
I think it's important. That's probably the best like descriptive word for horror. I think it's important. I think that growing up, it always seemed like a dirty genre. Like, oh, why would you want to watch that? That's horrible.
Mhm.
but I feel it's very important to explore. I've said this on a previous interview I was on, but I stand by it. Some of the things I have changed my mind on, but I stand by the fact that I think horror is one of the main, or one of the only genres really, of entertainment, whether that's books, films, TV, that can encompass all other genres.
Yes, absolutely.
It's
We talked
It
about
really does, though.
the
It absolutely
subgenres, the
does.
fact there's horror fantasy, there's horror romance, there's horror comedy. Even within one story, it can go back and forth between all of these different genres for sure.
and there's a balancing act between adding elements of, especially in film, adding
Mhm.
elements of comedy to a horror film to take the edge off of a tension build up, or because people can't live an entire movie in terror. They need a break from it. And the same thing goes
Yes.
with writing. You have to have lulls in the action in order to really appreciate the fearful parts. Sometimes you can overwhelm someone with too much too soon.
I agree. I think it is that the word that comes into my head is almost like it needs to undulate, like rise and fall, crest and peak, and just playing with that tension of, your I think that's what makes the best, where you're having these moments of, we passed this, okay. And you're right, like having some comedy or some other, things within it gives you that experience to just really, once it gets scary again, to it almost like, I don't want to say juxtaposes it, but it frames it so well that you can really experience the intensity of that moment.
Yeah, absolutely, and it gives the horror an opportunity. My word of choice is fester, because I think
Yeah,
it's quite a dirty word.
it
Like,
is.
yeah, like most, like fermentation that happens, you
Yeah,
need to add elements of sweet in to aid the
yeah.
fermentation. So like
So
the
like
same,
my head goes to marinate, like, and you think about like a good marinade always has an oil and an acid, some kind of a fat and an acid to break it down and to infuse it, and then you can put whatever else you want into it, right? But I mean, that's basically it. Is like you're saying, like there's these key components that come in to make the horror the way that it needs to be. And you say fester, but marinate, either
yeah,
one,
no,
yes,
that works well. I like that marinade. Yeah, it is a recipe, and I think different people appreciate a different recipe. So there's some people that prefer a sweeter marinade, some people prefer a spicy marinade, and you'll find that the readers or viewers of horror are the same. You can't please everyone, but you can add elements that each person should like. That's why I enjoyed my first book, which was Midnight Harvest, which is the
yeah,
collection of short stories. I enjoyed writing that because I tried to access the things that made different people scared and make a
yes,
story of all of those elements.
yes. Well, the one that was my favorite is,
Monkey on my back.
yes, and it's the way I didn't. I just said to Adam, I'm like, that's my favorite one of the story. And when he read it, he was like, it's almost like
It's
a,
like that Furby. It's like a update, a technology update of that Furby that wouldn't shut the hell up in
yeah. I
the
said,
closet after you put it
and I
away.
felt he was almost
Absolutely.
like a haunted Tamagotchi
Yeah.
or something, but it was
So,
so good.
so the I don't know if you guys actually had it, because I've everyone I speak to, I get sort of like only 20% of the people I've spoke to actually ever experienced Bonsai Buddy. Now,
Oh, it's an actual thing. The only thing I
it
could think of is our daughter had, it was Talking Tom, and it was a cat that would,
right.
like, it was, the whole app was it just talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bonsai Buddy was it wasn't like an official app, but it was like one of these sort of like dodgy downloads that you could get in the 90s that you would put onto a Microsoft computer, and it was a purple gorilla or monkey
Okay.
that lived on your desktop, a little bit like the paperclip. Like,
Oh yeah, like the
do you,
Microsoft.
Like
Okay,
do you
yeah,
remember the paperclip that used to have
I
eyes?
do.
And
that horrible thing that you
Yeah,
always
I'd be
tried
like,
to
get
make
the
go
fuck
away.
out of here! I'm trying to do stuff.
This was a replacement for that, and I think it was probably like a Japanese app that you could download. But I think once one person got it, loads of people. It was effectively like having like a I'm not going to say her name because loads of people, if people are listening to this out loud, it will get her attention and she'll start asking questions. But it begins with A and ends with A, and a lot of people have them in their house, and it's associated with Amazon. So I always get annoyed when people say its name because mine lights up and it's like, oh, no, you shouldn't have said that. So, but it's basically like that, but it was on your desktop. So you could ask it questions and it would answer pretty poorly. And you also had like a speech to text setup where you could type something in and make it say it. Now, me being sort of 12 years old, I would get it to say very inappropriate things because it was
Of
funny.
course. Yeah.
So, but I remember I like completely rebooted my computer and put it back on, like because I had a virus, probably because I was downloading weird apes to live on my desktop. So I thought I'd done a good job of stripping this thing down and rebooting it, and it came on. Windows came on quickly, and I was like, oh, it's sped up a bit because I didn't know anything about antivirus. I just thought, oh, well, this means it's going to be fixed because everything's gone off of it. And then the monkey popped back up on the screen.
Oh God.
And I was like, why is that still here? So that thought stayed with me obviously for decades.
Yeah.
And then I was like, if I got a new phone and updated it and he turned up on that.
Oh my God.
And that's where the story came from.
And see, like, we enjoyed hiding that Furby years later all over the house. And eventually we had
And I swear after like 5-6 years.
Yeah, but we stuck it
never changed these batteries.
In the linen closet.
Yes.
Like
we'd hear
buried
it
deep in like blankets and stuff. And when they just started talking.
Mm-hmm.
We need that technology for our phones.
Exactly.
Like
good point.
In the garage in the garage to our house, me and my wife were having to tidy up the other day, and there's a child's toy in there somewhere. And it just keeps going, here, moly, 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 moly. I don't know what, like, we don't know what the toy is, but it must have been in there for years because it's like buried underneath loads of stuff. And every time we go in now, we can hear it saying it. And I'm like, when is it going to run out of battery? Like, my phone runs out of battery after a decent phone call.
Yeah.
And then this thing's still going, looking for a mole, I guess.
I can't wait for whatever story comes from that. I mean, it's going to be good.
Yeah, that's pretty much my personality. It's like, what would happen if?
Yeah, if I turn this horrific. I love though that like, and it's so true because I know that I would probably be the same way, that it's like the answer to this is not get rid of your phone. The answer is I need a new phone, right? Like,
yeah.
So it's like, it's not like you're going to get rid of that technology. So it's like, it's so funny that it has become so ubiquitous that I think that even if there was something evil there, we'd be exhausting all options to figure out how to keep the phone but get rid of this thing.
100%. And that was a big point of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just ready to be written there, the way you said that. Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he does that so well in that story. So
yeah.
Yeah, there was no question whether he would keep a phone.
Yeah.
There was no question. It was just, I need a new phone.
Right.
To get rid of this thing.
Yep, definitely. I love that. And then hopefully it's not a spoiler, but you examine and sort of have a twist on the leprechaun that
yes, love that one.
That I thought was just fantastic because we have the terrible leprechaun movies. And
yes,
it kind of does that in a very comedic way. So I love that this is just from beginning to end menacing as hell.
Yeah. So the Curse of the Godai, which is the name of the basically it just means curse of the thief in Irish.
Oh, okay.
It was so the original beginning to, I think enough people have read it now, so it's not too much of a spoiler. And I've put out a few pictures that have got a bit of a telltale leprechaun in the image. So I think they people are going to
No, it's coming.
get it quite quickly. But it was sort of like an Easter egg. Like if someone read the title and they thought, what does that mean? They could read and find out that at least it's Irish based, whatever the
Yes.
problem is. The other thing is I thought I wanted to take a classic horror character that wasn't like a vampire or like a zombie, and because they've been sort of done in urban environments.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've got, a werewolf, American Werewolf in London. You've got, you've got like most zombie films happen in cities now.
Right.
Like vampires, like obviously some comedy ones. Vampire in Brooklyn, that was based in a city. So I
Yeah,
wanted
even
to
like
take
Interview with the Vampires, very New Orleans, city kind of.
exactly. So I thought, what horror character hasn't been brought to a city? And I thought the Leprechaun was ideal, and the Green Dragon estate is actually an estate that I grew up next to. Yeah, so it's a mixture of two different towns that I lived in. But the actual name Green Dragon Estate, where it takes place, is based on one estate. But I took the estate and put it in another geographic location that has things around it from a different town that I was in.
Mhm.
Because it was basically my teenage years I put all together and made like a group of people. I had lots of people complain to me actually. People were telling me off. They were like, "This could be that could have been like a whole novel, or it could have been
Yeah.
at least a novella where you could really get to know all the individual characters." I thought I didn't want you to get to know the characters. I wanted the characters to be really forgettable, because the actual thing to remember was the leprechaun. I wanted
Mm,
him to be the thing that you remember. Most of my
And
larger,
I did.
longer stories are people based, not
Right.
evil based. Like the baddie is never the main focus of any of my longer stories. Really, it's the emotional roller coaster the people go through. So
right.
my short stories, I kind of want to make it all about.
I mean, you nailed it for me. I really,
Thanks.
really loved it. And I love that you were playing with, okay, what haven't we seen in an urban environment that's super cool as like a complete aside, because like I love to go down like the random, rabbit holes here. But like I always have a podcast on to sleep to, like no matter what. And I've
Hmm.
recently found this podcast that I really enjoyed called Behind the Bastards. Um it's basically every
They made a podcast about me finally.
yeah,
Okay.
you wish, you would. No, it's like throughout, you know, anywhere, like any kind of thing in society that, you're like, let's really get into the bastards that have ownership of this. Well, anyway, so
Yeah,
sometime in the middle of the night last night, I don't know which episode it was, but they started talking about the new movie of 28 Days Later.
Oh yes,
the
What
28
is
years
the name of
later.
that one?
yes. 28 years later,
Yeah, yeah.
the giant zombie wiener. I'm
That's what
guessing
he
is
said. And
yeah.
he's like, so does it have like a little bit of like dick? He's like, no, it's a lot. It's a fair amount. And he's like, but apparently there's this rule that if there's a child on set, you can't show real penis. You have to put on fake penises. He's like, oh, because that's not more traumatizing to just be ripping these large fake penises off your body because there's a
Yeah.
child on set. And I was like, huh, I have to go back and find whatever episodes they're talking about for
Yeah.
this. But yeah,
Well,
Well,
I
I
feel
mean,
like
it
that was like
traumatized
the
me.
biggest. What's that?
I said it traumatized me. I
That's what I
was
was gonna say. I feel like that was the biggest takeaway from the movie that everyone was talking about.
I was gonna say, so like, what does the penis have to do with the? I mean, is that like a new thing? Like when they're
In the well, I think that
like, why is that
because
so
they are.
significant?
Well, I heard it's of significant
it's
size.
yeah,
Oh,
it's yeah, he's a very, very well, they are very, very well endowed. Now, when I say they, it's a sort of a subspecies of the zombie who the virus itself reacts with I think it's like their testosterone level. So the ones that are very, very well endowed are what they call alphas. So they are slightly more dominant and domineering. They seem to take over groups of them, and the zombies follow them as with their
Ah,
like leaders. but I think it was to emphasize the fact that they were massively testosterone filled. They
Got
Gotcha.
it.
That makes
they
sense.
decided to add a an element that would showcase that. However, we know through science, so I wouldn't have written it into one of my stories,
Yeah.
but we know through we know through science that if there is a testosterone enhancing characteristic, it tends to make endowment less
That's what I was
than
thinking.
more.
Yeah, 'cause the
So
steroid kind of
if you give
yeah.
someone steroids, they tend to become less well
Right.
endowed. So in
Right.
theory, these guys should have been running around with micro penises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Jeez.
interesting though, because it kind of is like
See, that takes the fear out of the movie for me
yeah.
now. See, now, like we were saying, it's a rainy, cold day here, and it's perfect for book reading and scary movie.
Mhm.
We should watch this, and then the
Oh
whole
yeah.
time I'll be picturing how it should have been micro
Yeah,
penis.
an any instead
Well,
of yeah.
An
I don't
innie.
think I don't think yeah, an idiot. That's it. He pooped his own wiener. No, I think if you're going to watch it at home, my recommendation is: have you got surround sound?
Yes.
Yeah.
Get audio up quite high. Try and make it as high as it's comfortable to listen to, because some of the audible parts of the film are really, really feeling inducing. There's a scene where there's a different type of zombie where they're massively overweight. They
Mm.
don't and they don't walk. They sort
Oh
of
God.
drag themselves across the floor,
Oh
and
God.
Oh,
they graze on like earthworms and grubs and things. Because I don't know what makes them like that. I'm sure there's probably some sort of in their canon there'll be a reason for it. I can't remember it. But anyway, so
yeah.
these massively overweight zombies who can't walk, they like eat earthworms, and like the sound quality of them eating those is yeah, it's pretty graphic.
I'll
So
do it.
that's
Well, that
probably
makes me think Rebecca actually when we went to see I forget what movie we went to see, but it had the trailer, and almost had to walk out from the, like, intensity of the, like I don't know if you remember
It was the
that, like
sound.
yeah, it wasn't like a song, it was like, the repeating,
Yeah.
where it was some sort of poem
yeah
that they used in the trailer.
They were
Yeah.
yeah
chanting it. I was like, stop, please stop. Like,
Mhm.
oh
yeah.
my
It's
God.
almost like a movie, because I think it's based on like an old British wartime script that they would
Yes.
say over the radio.
Mhm.
They
Yes,
say it
that's it.
over a screeching, like you can almost hear the sounds of the tape recorder spinning, and
Yeah.
Yes.
it makes yeah. So there's a fair bit of that, and it's sort of an indication of something bad is coming when you start to
Yep.
hear
Right.
that kind of noise, which is obviously quite good on a sensory base. Um,
Mhm.
there's also a really, really like I don't know if you've read much about it since it's come out, but one of the characters in it early on is you don't realize until it's worth watching. I've got to say it's
Yeah.
worth watching, but
I love the original film, and even the sequel was I really enjoyed, so I was looking forward to seeing it, just didn't get a chance yet.
well, it's very, very clever. Well, the whole concept is very clever. It's basically based on a island off the coast of Scotland that is joined by a stretch of land that's very, very narrow. It does exist in real life, but basically only when the tide is down can you cross it by foot.
Like The Woman in Black almost, where
Yeah.
you
So
can't go to the
base
palace except for certain times, yeah.
yeah, so what they have to do is guard the island only has to guard this sort of 5 meter wide path during low tide. The rest of the
Right.
time they can just happily exist on their island without the fear of zombie invasion.
Mm,
So they've found an amazing location that allows them to go to mainland to collect resource, but come
yep,
back and then not have to worry about overnight when the tide's up, the
yep.
zombies are coming because they know what the tide is. So it is actually quite an interesting concept, and it has a
No, I
lot
love
of
that.
the human condition elements to it. But yeah, it's definitely worth a watch.
Excellent.
Love it.
Going back sorry, you had a question.
No, I was just basically wanted to talk about the sensory overload
Oh, yeah.
and how that pertains to Don's novel. But if you wanted to,
Oh, well, I wanted to talk about, just 2 more stories because I feel like thematically they were very different, but also kind of tied by this idea of memory, which was the Beneath the Surface and Fragments of Claire. I
Hmm.
really love how you played with sort of like, this one character that wants to remember so bad, and then this other character that doesn't remember something that once they do kind of changes everything. And I was just wondering, is that just something that interests you in general? Like this idea of memory, wanting to be in memories, wanting to not be, where those stories kind of came from, because they're both super effective.
Yeah. So I've spoken to quite a few people about what scares them
Yeah.
because I'm very interested on how different people's fear responses to things, like what makes them scared. Like I put out a almost like a poll kind of thing on Instagram, and the post was called "I will literarily kill you." So basically, what it was is I'm really bad at coming up with names for characters.
Hmm.
I can build a character's personality perfectly, but the names will always end up being like John Smith. Like, I'm really bad at coming up with really lived in original names. I've went through graveyards and stolen some, and I've done lots of things to try and come up with names. But I thought it would be cool if I could I say fans. It's quite cringy to say fans, but to let some of my followers on Instagram donate their name to me with the possibility that I'll include it in one of my short stories or in one of my books.
Love it.
But in the form they would fill out, where they would be donating their name to be killed, they could write their biggest fear.
Yeah.
And I made no promises. I said, this may or may not be used in the small print. This may or may not be used as the method of death. But it was like, I just thought if someone's really scared of, I don't know, pigeons, then I, I could probably find a way to give them a pigeon death, just because I thought they might enjoy it. So I got a big response, but I find it really interesting to hear people's fears. And many of them was like, my biggest fear, in all honesty, is losing my memory.
Mm.
Your memory is one of the only permanent things that you get to carry with you. Well, it is semi-permanent, isn't it? So, like, if you have no memory of your entire life, was it worth living?
Oof.
So that's a question that I initially have, and that is scary for me. So instantly, I'm interested and intrigued by the idea of forgetting something. And then I had the next idea was like, wouldn't it be nice, because you've got great memories, but they are just that. They're sort of quite one-dimensional things. Sometimes you can even remember a smell, which is incredible, but they're relatively one-dimensional, a memory. So wouldn't
Mhm.
it be nice if you could go back and relive that? Like, not just see a picture of it and remember it, like actually go back and re-experience it. So that was obviously another idea of which would be quite nice to do, is travel back in time and relive a memory. And I released a Midnight Harvest, and about a month later, Black Mirror released an episode where there was this chip that this high tech company created that allows you to relive memories of the past.
Oh my.
So I was like, I'm so glad that I released the book before
Yeah.
Black Mirror came up with that. So it was a completely original idea for me, but whoever wrote the Black Mirror episode definitely didn't steal it from me, because they
Yeah.
wouldn't have been
You were
able to
so
record
at the
it.
same time. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a bit like the whole light bulb situation. You know how the Edison created
Edison
the
and
light
yeah.
bulb, but someone else said they had created it exactly the same time, but on the other
Right.
side of the world. But obviously he just got to the publishing literature first. But yeah, so it's exactly the same thing. It would be impossible to have stolen it, for either of us to have stolen the idea. But unfortunately, they've got a slightly bigger audience than I do. So they will remember Black Mirror's one before they'll remember mine.
But it shows how much it is in just the general psyche of this idea, that you were messing with here
Yeah, I love
and
that.
talking about that, the idea of being and living in that memory. And also there's like and it's played to a very different effect, but there's I think it's 97, 98 Japanese film called Afterlife, where essentially like when you die, you go to this like halfway house and you choose one memory to live in for eternity. And you have to choose that
Ah,
one that you're going to. And it's basically about if you cannot choose, if you can't make that decision, you essentially become an employee at this halfway house to help other people pick their memories. So, like, this is, obviously a very different movie, but about the same idea of like what makes a life, and wanting to be in this like sort of moment that you've
Hmm.
experienced, actually experience it again. But then you take that and you make it very, very disturbing. It's scary
Yeah,
and twisted,
because
and I love that.
but like the perfect thing, like the perfect memory, if you got to sort of relive that over and over again, I think eventually it would lose its shine.
Right.
Yes, I think so too.
It would be, eventually, even if it was like a lovely memory. But
Mhm.
I didn't want to rely on time to be the problem, so
Right.
I accelerated the issue,
Mhm.
and made a problem. Like most of my stories, I find an issue and slap people in it.
Well, I think it brings that same thing, like, it has that feeling of sort of like the same fear for me anyway, which is another, like, weird fear maybe, of watching either, like, a home video or seeing a picture and it starts to react to you. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I think it has
Absolutely.
that same feeling too, where you're like, "This is what happens in this memory every time," and then or, "This is what happens when I watch this movie or watch this home video," or whatever it is. Okay, and now what if that changes? What if it, just a one little thing is off at first, right? And then you just start to go from there.
Exactly. It's the same kind of fear response you would get if you had a painting in your house of like
Mhm.
a road with like a horse-drawn carriage on it, and one day you could have sworn it was a little bit closer.
Yes.
The
Mm,
Exactly.
the slight unease initially of I must be imagining it, but that looks a little, and then the next day it's like no, that's definitely a little bit closer.
Right.
And then so it's exactly the same thing. The slight variation is enough to start to put you on edge before anything dramatic happens anyway.
Yep. And then for the other story, this idea that, like, what if, and obviously, what if someone but then also, what if you yourself were a monster and you never knew it and you didn't realize it, like you had forgotten it,
mm.
But the question I've got for you guys, and I asked a
Yeah.
few people that have read it,
Uh-huh.
right, is before you get near the end of the story and you kind of know what's happened,
Mhm.
but you're not really near the end of the story. Is he guilty?
I kind of was thinking about this as I was reading the story.
That's really hard to say.
Like, should he, that person,
Be Go to
should he go to
prison or what?
jail?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, man, I think the fact that, like, his body responds to want to do it even
Yes.
before he realizes that he did, I think yes. That's
Yeah.
Yeah,
where he belongs.
I'm gonna lean where you said, Adam.
But yeah, so in essence, if he didn't have, if he just was like, oh my God, what have I done?
Mhm.
The question would be a bit more moral based, I
Right.
guess. You would have
Yeah,
to go,
yeah.
I don't know, because clearly this person isn't that person anymore.
Right,
But
right.
because we as a people, we feel that the brain and the mind is the most important thing. No, absolutely. Like if someone was to have a head injury, if you sometimes it's been known in
Uh,
science that people have
like
an
a
head,
traumatic brain injury. Yeah,
yeah, and then when they recover, they've got like a personality flaw where they're
they
like
do.
really aggressive, and
Mhm.
they've suddenly developed a temper.
Right.
Now
Yes.
we know the brain is pliable and can is so is the thinking of us, is that really us, or is that just our brain's chemistry telling us how to be? Like most men, when they hit middle age, suddenly they've got this incredible inkling to go and buy a Harley Davidson and
Right.
go travel. But we know that's just chemical. That's just,
Yeah.
they are
It's almost a
losing
fear
a,
response to, like,
yes.
the
Yeah. Well,
imminent
it's,
death kind of idea or
yeah,
loss of
exactly.
youth.
It's coming. Let's do it now before it's too late.
Yep. Right.
I get
Right.
it. I get it. I've signed up to lots of stupid things because I'm getting older, and let's do it while I still can. And I think the same thing. So that's why I asked: is he guilty of it? But yes, I
Right.
think you're right. I think he is.
Yeah.
Like that chap.
This specific character. Yeah.
Yeah, that chap. Lock him up.
Right. But if
yeah,
he was
but
just as horrified as the people around him when this was discovered, it takes on an entirely new light, right?
it's such a moral grey
It
And then
area.
it
is. It's
kind of
like I
brings
feel like I'm
in,
back in my moral philosophy
well, it
class in
brings in the whole
college. Like,
idea, like, are you getting justice for those people when the person you're putting away doesn't remember it, doesn't want to do it, is just as horrified by it? Like, it really brings up very interesting questions.
Yeah, like, because if you are your mind, then I think that then he's innocent
Yeah.
until
Because it's like,
he's
yeah,
not.
are you your mind at that moment too, right?
Yeah,
Or are you
yeah, yeah.
are you responsible for what your mind did when, your mind was different? Because, like, I actually, in a previous job that I had some customer that would come in all the time, and she had a British accent, and I was always like, I asked one day, I was like, she kind of talked about her past and all this kind of stuff, and she's lived in this town in Pennsylvania her whole life. I was like, why does she have a
Wow,
British accent? And she said, well, she was thrown off a horse 5 or 6 years ago. And after she recovered, she spoke in a British accent. And she just always
that
has ever since,
is
and did not before.
incredible.
Yeah,
yeah,
and,
that's
like,
that
that's what I
TBI,
thought.
right?
Yeah, and, like, so at first I was like, before I heard about this, I was like, "Why does she do this?" You think about, like, Madonna after she married Guy Ritchie and stuff, like,
Yeah,
this is this fake, like, affectation, and it's like, it's not. She goes to therapy for it, like, all this kind of stuff, but that's how she talks now.
that's incredible. That is
Yeah,
incredible.
and it's
It's
like,
so
is that,
amazing.
like, a memory of a movie she saw? Like, because obviously it's not entirely correct, right?
Mhm.
It's based on something that she is modeling after, but her brain says this is how you talk.
So here, I want to ask you some questions. So with her, did she have memory of before the accident?
She has memory of everything before and everything after, but there's
It's
like a
just the speech.
couple of it's almost like a couple of week, like, day period before
Yeah,
and after she doesn't remember, but other than that, she totally remembers her whole life.
that's amazing, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
amazing. It's the same as people that have, like, some people have full memory loss, where they have no
Mhm.
memory of anything, but they can
Right.
speak.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they have a memory of learning that because you must
Right.
remember how to talk.
Yep.
Yeah, I think this is another story, isn't it? Really.
I love that you're going to use horror as the genre to explore some of this and just bring you back to how we said that horror is a little bit of everything. I mean, here you are exploring moral philosophy.
Yeah, I'm so sad though. I like literally everything. Like, me and my wife, we've driven past buildings and I've looked at it for a little bit too long, and she's like, "Is that going in a story then?"
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Well, who was it?
I'm like,
Henry James. He said, "Be one upon whom nothing is lost." That's how you become a
There you
writer,
go.
right?
See,
So,
don't
yeah.
tell your wife that.
so, but like sometimes you see something, and a lot of the time you don't have the answer. So what you do is you put your flawed character in the same situation that you don't know how you would control,
Alright.
Wow.
and you let them make the mistakes. Like, oh well, this person would probably do it. There's been times where I've written a whole plot. I've written out a whole plot for a book, and I know exactly where it's going and where it's going to end. Like, and I'll be three-quarters of the way through, and then my character is meant to do this, but now I know them. They wouldn't do that.
Wow.
That's amazing. So you're like half plotter and then you kind of turn
Half
into not
pantser,
like a
yeah,
panther, but it's yeah.
yeah.
But it's, like, based on what you've learned of the
Yeah.
people you're writing about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean, I love that you have the malleability to adjust that.
Well, you have to, because people will people will if you've done your storytelling right, if you've done your storytelling well, your audience, your readers will know your character as well as you are learning them as you
Mm.
write them. And then if you do something completely out of place, they'll be like, "But that's not what Susie would do."
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you force it, then it's going to be obvious because you noticed it was obvious.
love that.
Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting that my books have got a crazy underlying, I don't know, real important to society message in them. But I also think that I respect my readers too much to fob them off with a a half-baked person because it would have been easier for me to follow my original thought process.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's amazing. And, you know, it's interesting because I feel like I can see some of that, in especially so I want to get into Whispers in the Woods and
Yeah, I
hopefully
Hmm.
Fright
need
Manifest
to.
a little
I
bit
gotta
before we
do
go.
it.
Like, I feel like there's a lot of moments in that book that to me feel like characters are making decisions that are so based on who they are, and even if I don't agree with them or, like, understand it, like, when I look back and see, like, the other things that they've done, I'm like, "Oh, that's totally in character for that
Yeah.
person," and I love that, and I just love that book in general because I think that I love folk horror, and
Hmm.
I think that oftentimes in folk horror, it is children in danger. It is
Yeah.
children that are, like, the focal point of whatever this is, but the children are not main characters. They have no agency in what's happening, so I love that you almost tied the, like, kids on bikes
Yeah.
style
Yes.
with folk horror, and I'm
Yes.
like, I just love that because these kids are get to be a part of what's happening instead of just being these sort of, like, pawns in the game of these other people that, that or these other presences, and I thought that was a really great twist.
Yeah. So I wanted I wanted the whole town to be a little bit wrong.
Mm.
It's actually very, very heavily based on the village I live in now. Um,
Oh, wow.
but to the opposite effect. So
Mhm.
this village is is lovely and everyone is really nice. You could you could drop your wallet with hundreds of pounds in, and if it's got your driver's license in with your address on, there's a good chance your wallet's finding its way through your letterbox
Yeah.
with the money still in it.
Right.
That's the kind of village it is now in like where I live. So what I wanted to do is make it the opposite to that.
Yeah.
And also the woods around this village that I live in are a haven for people to go and love and enjoy. I jog in them every day, and people take their dogs for walks and the children
Oh
go
my
build
god.
forts, and it's like a haven for people to go where it's lovely. So I thought, what's the opposite to that? And that's a place that brings nothing but dread and a
Yeah.
darkness that looms over a village rather than the beautiful green expanse that borders the cute village. Now it's a
Mhm.
looming, horrible mess of a place.
It is interesting to hear you say that because just having read the book and then hearing where you actually live and how you describe, like, it's really fascinating. But I really want to come visit your town now, like the real one, not the story
Yeah.
one. Wow, it sounds amazing.
Well,
But
I can take you to all the locations in the book, walking through the village.
wow,
They're not called the same thing. They're not called the same thing, but they exist here. And I could
awesome.
even introduce you to some of the characters in the book in some of those locations, and you'll be like, "Oh my god, that is whoever," and you'll
No
be like, "Yeah,
way. That'd
that's
be
them."
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could introduce you to some people that you would be like, "They're not mean," and I'll be like, "No, they're really not mean. That's that's the point."
Yeah.
I love it.
They're like mirror images.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
like
it.
so. But Oakhaven as a village that I made up.
Mhm.
I don't know whether you've noticed, but if you were to go back and listen to the short stories or read the short stories or read the Fright Manifest, it's
Mhm.
mentioned in almost all of my stories. So it'll be either where someone had just driven through it or their mum lives there or so
You're building this world of yours.
yeah. So one of my future projects, which you might enjoy, if you liked Whispers in the Woods, you might enjoy it. Is it's going to be a series that I'm releasing. I'm actually delayed it. I'm going to push it back. I'm thinking until mid next year,
Okay.
because I'm working on too much at the moment, and I'm spreading myself thin, and I'm not enjoying it. But I want to be able to give it what it's worth, and so I'm going to wait until next mid next year, and it's going to be 12 episodes. I think 12.
Okay.
That will be released once a week for 12 weeks,
Oh
like
my
Funny.
gosh.
sort of like a Netflix
Yeah,
series.
I
So
love
you
this.
you have to wait for the next one to come out, or you could wait until the end and then binge the whole thing, like people do with
Right.
Oh, I'm
Netflix, which
so
is great.
sad. Love it.
So it's called Oakhaven. That's the title of it, and is it's going to be sort of in keeping with, I don't know if you guys ever watched like Castle Rock,
Oh yeah.
or this month we've got Welcome to Derry
Welcome
coming
to
out.
Derry.
So in essence, it's going to be similar to that. So I'm taking my mythical town and
Mm-hmm.
its stories within it, but the main characters that weave their way through these 12 stories are the parents of the children from Whispers in the Woods.
Oh man.
Well,
Awesome.
some of them, not all of them, because they didn't all
Yeah.
come from Oakhaven. Some of them moved there.
Right.
But there's going to be like, so you've got basically a lot of the parents from the children in Whispers in the Woods, almost their origin story. So you would have had some moments where something would have seemed slightly out of place in Whispers in the Woods. You might not even have noticed it, but it, like, for instance, I'll give you an example. So, a character in Whispers in the Woods said, "Oh, I'm going to go look for the well."
Yes.
And there was no reference to a well. No one said anything about a well. It's just something that he said in one of the chapters. I'm gonna see if I can find the well. And
Right.
everyone else just sort of said, yeah, as if like they knew what he was talking about. And I didn't elaborate on it. But so the well in that he's referencing in Whispers in the Woods is actually the altar in Whispers in the Woods
Yes.
that had a stone top put on top of it.
Tell you what, this book is so folk horror, so like I felt like my review on Goodreads was just like 5 stars. Holy shit. It's so much fun. The I don't know who, I have to say this, like so I started this out at the beginning of it, but I was like, and as we've talked about, like I clearly like the sensory setup for things,
Mm-hmm.
but so the first time I heard the let's just say the entity talking, I was like, I really, really don't like this.
Mm.
But by the second time it comes on and it's like way angrier, I was like about to rip my headphones off
Yeah.
and just like I couldn't stand it. It was so
No,
uncomfortable.
the audio, the production for that
Yeah,
was
so
incredible. And
Adam's reading it yesterday and he goes, "Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I can see why you don't like that sound." And then like a little bit later on I hear him go, "Ah!" And I'm like, "Okay." So I was like, it wasn't just me that,
yeah,
you
that
know,
performance is so good. And
Yeah.
like the whispering also is
horrible.
pretty
Just
disturbing.
like I don't know what you'd have to like. I think I'd rather eat like one of those like take your trick or treat random like
Yeah.
raw hot dogs that are in a bucket
Oh my.
and eat one of those than
Listen to that.
yes, it
be
was like
faced with
very, very like it was genuinely like it there. Sometimes I feel like I miss out on being scared, like at a haunted house and things like that, because it just
Yeah.
doesn't bother me. But that really bothered me
Yeah.
a
I
lot.
think the only thing I would have adapted, and I may do in the future, was I feel that maybe, just through some of the feedback that I've got from the audiobook, is that I may have got a different narrator to play the children's voices,
Yeah.
because he had such a earthy,
Yes.
disturbing tone. He would especially the female children.
Mm-hmm.
They blended in. He had sort of one young female voice that he could do, and I think
Yeah.
both the girls ended up having the same voice. You would know who he was doing because of the writing, but
Right.
I think if I could get the woman Colette who did Midnight Harvest, I'm sorry, Fright Manifest,
Mm-hmm.
play the children, I think
You know,
that would be an all-star cast.
I read the Fright Manifest through the Kindle Unlimited, but I think you had sent me the Audible link for that. I'd be willing to listen to it
Oh
again
yeah.
to hear that.
That's cool. Yeah.
Genuinely, and I'm not just saying it because it's my book and I want loads of people to download it. It was a flawless performance, like
Okay, well,
flawless.
that book itself, I feel like is a flawless performance. Like I started it and was like, I'm unavailable. I need to finish this. I try to read a lot, of everybody. At least one of us always reads at least one of the authors. If not, both of us are reading,
Mhm. For
before
people that come on the show.
for people that come on
Yeah.
the show. Yeah. But I was reading this, waiting in the car. I had like an hour to kill, and the new Taylor Swift album had come out. So I'm like listening to that as I'm reading Fright Manifest, and I'm like, it just doesn't get any better than this. A Friday night, it's cooler out. I'm reading this in the car. I'm just like, it was the best. And I think it just
You had checked out of society for a while.
I did. And I was like, the amount of, I felt like, I was like, I wonder if it's blank, like the guest. And I was like, I feel like I got the answer right, but I didn't know why.
Uh-huh.
So it was fun to figure that out. But the kills in here, so the Fright Manifest, I think the way you kind of teed it up was like, why can't I keep that name straight? Anytime I need to say something long, I can't think. Yeah. It's like a slasher form of Final Destination.
Totally on the plane.
And it is also like, again, I said I listened to a lot of these podcasts. So the Stuff You Should Know did this whole thing on that flight that completely
The
disappeared.
Malaysian flight. Yeah, they even talk about it in.
I talk about it in the book. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I love that it brings that up. And I'm just like, you're not getting off this plane. And the kills are incredible. And I loved how you ended the book.
It gets to the
Like
point where
I loved everything from start to finish. Like
yeah.
the annoying social media presence.
Well, I got to the point, in the book where I'm like, if I was in this story, I would want to die first.
Yeah, it's like hurry up and get it done.
And that's like the best praise, I think, when it comes to something. It's like, I wouldn't want to survive enough to be able to get deep into some of the things that are happening here.
No, you do some horrible things.
Yes.
I do, yeah.
Like, I'll just say the luggage compartment, and then I'll also say the pilot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that wasn't nice. That was quite mean.
No, it's like,
I would have thought you would have went with Tommy Woo, who's the one that went to the toilet.
Yes.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it, but like, I don't know why.
Someone told me I made them cry.
Those two were the ones that bothered me the most.
Yeah, no, the Tommy one, someone told me that I made them cry.
I can believe it though.
Well, it was the regret part, the fact that he changed his mind halfway through, which obviously that's terrifying, isn't it? Really.
I just want to like pause here for a minute and say, like, even among teeing it up as it is a super fast paced slasher that has those Final Destination, but again, your undertones are, like you said, you're playing with regret. You're playing with each of these people. Why are they on
how
the plane?
culpable are they?
Yeah, you're exactly. And I thought, even just like, Adam, I would love to have your take on this because we haven't discussed it yet, because there's a teacher on there and you're a teacher, and she's doing something that she thinks is benevolent, but it's really
to a point. She knows she's wrong after a certain time. Yeah.
Right. But Don, I just felt like you just really played with morality again. And it was just
how slippery it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I like, because every person is flawed to a certain extent. And some of the people in the book, I wanted to make it so they would initially feel that it was a sort of a moral grey area, and they weren't that bad. That wasn't a terrible thing. They were protecting someone, or they were helping someone. I think there's only one person in the whole story, which is one of the people very early on that don't make it. In fact, the first person doesn't make it. That I don't think that they had there wasn't a grey area to what they did. They were just
absolutely
a generally horrible person.
Yes.
But like the annoying social media person, I deliberately made her just vile. Like it was so intentional for you to hate her. I even tried to, I don't know if it came across, some people said they got it, but for you guys, but there's a moment in the departure lounge before they even get on the plane, and she's insulting people
I love
around the thing. and it said she was being horrible to everyone apart from the cleaner.
Because she didn't even think she mattered. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like initially you go, oh well, at least she's got some sort of moral compass because she won't punch down with
Yeah.
her, and it's like no, she just didn't even think it was worth the effort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So it's like, oh
Awful.
no, she is horrible.
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating and like for Fright Manifest, you have such it is so fast. It is not like a long book, but you build character development so fast in there and just through I mean, each one on there, like there's some books that I spend reading that are, 400 or 500 pages and I don't feel like I know the characters as well or can keep them straight when there's that many people,
Yeah,
and you did such an awesome job of that. Like I felt like as a reader, I was able to keep everything straight, distinct in and of its own. And yeah, I will say this as we got
I think it helps how different they were. The thing about literature in general, like writing in general, I think that if you were to write real realistic characters, especially if you wrote a group of friends, they predominantly have the same opinions and the same habits as each other. They typically say are the average of your 5 closest people. So
that
like
makes sense.
you tend to share a lot of the same characteristics when
That
it
makes
comes
sense.
to like how you behave. You know if you hang around with a load of racists, the odds are you're racist. You're all going to have the same opinion. But in literature, you deliberately make them as different as possible. And I tried to do that so they would have individual characters, but I think it was okay because all my characters had no idea who anyone else was.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't share any personality traits because they were all strangers.
Yeah. Well, normally, like I said, when a guest comes on the show, you sent me 3 things and I was like, I'll read like one, maybe two. I couldn't help myself. I had to read all of them. I'm so glad that I did. And I will tell you that anything you write in the future, you're now one of my go-to authors that if you write it, I'm going to read it. Like I
That
have just
means a
been
lot to me.
so just was so impressed by everything you've written. You have such a range. Each one of these things were so entirely different. And after talking to you, I realize now why it is because you do. You play with the morality. Your character development is so good. Like I'm like, no wonder why I like this so much because it's really like on a sociological level, you get people and you're messing with like so much of that. And then it's great writing, great pacing, and then also just scary and gross and like it's like you hit all the reasons of
Horror
um
is great.
yeah, it is like you're definitely a writer for me, so I really look forward to your next series. I hope you'll come, um, Adam.
Sorry, I would be remiss without asking. I can't wait for the series on the town, but
Yes.
hopefully I'm going to say this in the least spoilery way possible. There is a hint of potentially
Yeah, I was hoping.
similar stories with different geographical locations being possible. Is that something that you're interested in never exploring?
So, right. So, yes, to a certain degree. So, I don't think it's much of a spoiler, but there's the baddie, we'll call it, the Dark Man
Yeah.
who's in it.
Yeah.
He explains what he is
Mhm.
and how he permeates through multiple different locations, and he's just a spin-off of a main problem.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mentioned a few of those places. It kind of came from the idea of, I don't know if you've ever done it, where you've gone to a place with great historical darkness. Like some people will say if they went down to, they went into Germany or they went to Auschwitz and they go there and they feel darkness in the air. The
Yep.
atmosphere's wrong. I always think of it as like a thin place, a place where darkness creeps through. So that's basically where I went with how he gets to places or why he gets out. So yes, there is elements of that, but the first episode, which I'll send you over because you guys have
Yes,
earned it, right? So, but
I'm
the
so
first
excited.
the first episode is basically the origin of how he came to Oakhaven,
Okay.
or how he got out into Oakhaven. Oakhaven wasn't Oakhaven initially. It was a little town called Thornhollow in the year 1666, which is obviously
Oh
a nice
my.
play
Okay.
on 666, isn't it?
Absolutely.
During the sort of witch trial period. So there's an initial
God, I'm so
story
ready.
of a witch who is trying to look after the people of the village, and she provides herbal medicine and herbal remedies. And this isn't a spoiler, you'll be fine. It's literally the first couple of pages, so it's not going to do much to it. But so there's herbal remedies, and she's a very nice person, and she's just trying to, she's like a midwife to lots of the people from the village, and it's written very old worldy. And what she does is one day she lives out inside the woods. She doesn't live in the village because she's not allowed to live in the village among the villagers because of what they think she might be. But one day there's an eclipse, and history doesn't know about eclipses.
Oh.
So the priest comes out of the church and he looks up and the sky has gone dark. The sun has been blotted out, and he thinks God is angry with them. And why is God angry with them? Because they've been supporting this witch. So we must put an end to it. But what the witch
Wow.
has been doing the whole time is suppressing a dark force that's trying to permeate through. So through their judgment of her, the village seals its own fate and releases something terrible.
God.
And
I
then
am so ready.
Yeah.
the hum of the school's projector starts to
Oh
click,
God.
and
Oh no.
they're sat in a college dorm in a folklore lesson, learning about the witch,
God.
and you meet the protagonists of the main storyline.
I love
Awesome.
it. Of
Love it.
course,
What a
you
great
put
transition.
some freaking
Yeah.
creepy sounds into it.
Yeah. So the sound of the projector humming is like
Ugh,
insects stuck in a jar. I do
Lord.
stuff like that a lot. But yeah, so the idea is that the whole beginning of that episode is giving you some prequel, but then I tie it into modern day where they're just hearing from it from a very, very impressive professor who's good at doing descriptive storytelling, and he's telling them about a story of Thorn Hollow, and yeah, then it moves on from there. So you'll get to learn about Sophie from Whispers in the Woods. Yeah, so one of the main characters is Liz, her mum, who
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
who in Whispers in the Woods, it explains that Sophie's
Mm-hmm.
drawings, how she sort of can
Right.
predict, and her mum doesn't
Mhm.
like the drawings because
Right.
she used to do the same thing.
Yep.
Yes.
So you've got her, you've got
I love that. What
Mrs.
a way to
Carroll.
tie it in and harken back to. Love
Yeah.
it.
And then Mrs. Carraway, the teacher that's in the high school, who's also the sister of Danny who goes missing. She's in the same class because they're around the same age. So she's in the same class as them. And it's about when Mr. Wainwright, the slightly nasty piece of work from Whispers in the Woods, is like, you want to keep your mouth shut in Whispers in the Woods.
Right.
He wants her to keep her mouth shut about what you're about to read.
Can't wait.
Love it.
If this shit doesn't get picked up for a Netflix series already, like
Absolutely,
I'm
yeah.
telling you, I haven't even read it yet, but like the way you're describing, and if it's
Mhm.
anything like Whispers in the Wood, like,
Well, yeah, it could all be one big.
oh my
Yeah.
God. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, and then it harkens back to this. So it's like, here's,
Yeah.
like what's that called? A
Yeah,
prequel?
the awkward situation I've got is that, so if you think of Whispers in the Woods, that spans over quite a long period of time. Like you've got some
Mhm.
real old historical stuff. Then obviously when you find out
Like
about
1994 section, and then
yeah, when you find out about the wife, the witch, sorry, in the beginning of Oakhaven, and that's obviously far before Whispers in the Woods. But the main storyline is wedged right between the Danny's disappearance and the actual main storyline of Whispers in the Woods. So it's the
Nice.
section in the middle of it. So although I call it a prequel, it's sort of like an event filler. So the
Yeah.
middle section. So you're going to have Mrs. Carraway, we're going to have her trauma from having lost her brother is a large psychological draw, and like you said, I enjoy playing with the psychology of someone, how they behave in certain situations. So it's about how she deals with that trauma and tries to work out. My biggest struggle is to stop it feeling like Vampire Diaries, because it's a college themed thing, and I want there to be some romances in it, but at the same time, I don't want it to get cheesy in regards
Right.
to the character. So it's taking quite a lot of beta input from beta readers to say, no, look, just leave that out. You don't need that. Even there was a whole, it's not going to happen, so it's not a spoiler, but there was a whole period where I was like, right, so I'm going to, like, the werewolves turned up in one of my plots, and I was like, oh, it's getting, no, let's get rid of that. And that happens a lot in my storytelling. I'll come up with something, I'm like, that's a good story, but it doesn't belong in this. And then one of my short stories are born. Because I'm like, I still want to write about that, but we'll make it a completely different story and keep it
Yeah.
separate. So a lot of my short stories come from the fact that that wasn't made to be in my current project. But yeah, so like I said, I am delaying the Oakhaven, so you will be nearly a year away before it's released. I will give you the first episode,
I'm
because
so excited. Thank you.
that's not going to change. But I'll give you the first episode. Currently, I'm working on a Christmas themed horror story, which is going to be a novella. So it's going to be, I think, my strength in writing, because I'm quite new author. I'm still learning. I'm still working out where my strengths and weaknesses are. But I think my strongest work is shorter form. So like the short stories people loved, but they said they were a bit too short. They wanted longer versions of them. And then
Yeah.
obviously then I released Whispers in the Woods, and some people were like, well, you can read, people can read the reviews. Some people thought that, that I explained something for too long. Some people said that, me introducing the town could have been a prelogue. But like,
You
obviously I
never,
did it.
Yeah.
people can never be pleased, right?
No, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, it's not really a problem. But when I released Fright Manifest, people said that it was a very good happy medium of like, they were like,
Absolutely.
it was,
Yes.
it's something you can read in 2 hours. So it takes you approximately as long to read Fright Manifest as it would to watch a movie.
Yeah,
True.
which makes sense.
So
Yeah,
And I think that we were saying before for some other interviews, like the novella's really having its moment. And I really, I really enjoy them. It's enough to get into.
it is an investment, but not like,
Exactly.
yeah,
But you're not like missing any of the things and elements that you love about reading a book.
like a novel. Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So I think that if I've got anything that I could take away from it, is that I could write about those characters. Like, so Fright Manifest, I could have went into each one of their storylines and had, a couple of chapters, 3 chapters, 4 chapters for each character's sort of backstory, and I could have filled it out. But I deliberately made it shorter, cut a lot of fat from it that didn't quite need to be there. So I think that if it doesn't need to, I can't remember who said it. It's actually a really beautiful thing. It was a letter that was written, and the author said, "Oh, I'm sorry, this letter is so long. I didn't have time to make it short."
My gosh.
That's nice.
That's incredible. Well, I'll go back to our interview with Jonathan Jans, and he said like one of the best gifts you can give yourself as an author or just like writer, to edit, that he writes. So I think he said he almost cuts out like a third
Yeah,
of
yeah.
what he writes. And I would never know that you're a newer author, honestly. When you say you're still finding your strengths and your whatever, like I really, really enjoy everything you've written. So if this is the jumping off point, then I can't wait to see where you go.
Yeah, I've always been a creative, so I've always enjoyed creating things and questioning things and trying to work out how things work. That's not my main passion, is to work out how things work, and working out how people work is something that I don't think I'll ever master, because
Yeah.
there's too many variables. But I like to put very flawed people in very awkward situations, which is quite fun to do.
I love it.
But
So
yeah,
when
so
can we expect?
go
Sorry,
ahead.
when?
So yeah, so the Christmas story is nearly finished. I'm just going through the sort of final stages of finalizing the plot, and again trimming it down a bit, but it's going to be around sort of the 170, 160 page mark. So
Okay.
similar to Fright Manifest. It's called Naughty List. Yeah, and it takes place in a little village called Oakhaven, but it has no storyline connection with Whispers in the
Okay.
Woods or the series Oakhaven. It just so happens to
Outside
be
of the
that
geographic.
village.
Yeah.
However, there are some Easter eggs, so you'll come across the butcher who's got the same name. So continuity check. If people want to read all of my books, I have I've got. It's quite useful having one village because I've got a timeline, and then I have the different stores and different places in the village, and the timeline I've got written out. It's a physical copy that I've drawn. Is who ran the butchers between this date and this date, who ran the butchers between this date and this date. So there's always a continuity going through the entire all my work. So like you'll be able to, you know, it could even be something as simple as during the Christmas one, they go to the village Christmas fair,
Mm-hmm.
which they do. They go through the village Christmas fair, and the little girl walks past and sees a tall, slender, older man who's walking with a cane and a sense of authority. And he's not mentioned at all for the rest of the book. That's all she sees. People that have read Whispers in the Woods would maybe deduce that could possibly be Arthur Wainwright
Right.
walking through, controlling what he had the big meeting about, the Christmas lights and
Mhm.
stuff from Whispers in the Woods. So you'll see the characters that pop up like little Easter eggs, but the storyline itself is absolutely nothing to do with it. It's the people are able to tell by the cover that it's based on the Elf on the Shelf.
Oh, I
So
love that.
I can't wait.
the little
It's
elf on
gonna
the
be
shelf
so good.
that checks if you're naughty or nice. That's this. I've actually had to stop it a few times because it's an emotional roller coaster, and I don't want to spoil anything, but it like with my writing, sometimes I I feel genuine sadness for what I've worked out is going to happen. Like I'm like,
Yeah, I can
and
imagine.
I don't want to write it yet.
Yep.
Oh my god, what's he
Like,
gonna do? Oh
yeah.
lord.
So, well, it's more because it's historical trauma. So it's family trauma is a big center focus on this. On the storyline itself is that obviously you've got the baddie or baddies. There might be more, might be multiple, but you've got the sort of family historical trauma that weaves its way through the entirety of the story, and you're not really sure. You're pretty much like this character's doomed. You're not sure whether there's a way out, but in typical Don Campbell fashion, you know, sometimes they don't make their way out, sometimes they do. But the one thing is, I'm not the kind of person that will shy away from something because people won't like it.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
if something was meant to happen, if I've written something and I think something is meant to happen a certain way, unfortunately, that's the way it's going to go.
Well, that's why horror is the best. That's why I
Yeah,
love it because it doesn't
the
always
good
give
guy
us
doesn't always
those.
win.
Yeah. Yep.
But the good guy
Exactly.
might. But the good guy may win in this. So
They,
you never
you
know.
know,
Or you might not even
doesn't
know who the
always
good guy is.
win. Love that. Awesome. That's perfect. So we'll be on the lookout for that. You said about
Yeah, so that'll be out before
roughly
Christmas.
time.
Yeah, I'll be out
Okay.
just before Christmas, so you
Perfect.
can snap
And
it up.
in roughly this time next year, look for that 12-part
Yeah, the
Oakhaven
12.
series.
Yeah. So I feel quite bad because I kind of insinuated it was coming soon, and I told everyone it was coming soon. Like I said, I got about halfway through the series, writing the entire series, and I didn't like the direction it was going, and I thought I could force it and make it and finish it so everyone gets what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's what the people that would be reading it deserve. I think I would be doing them a disservice by just giving them something that wasn't quite ready yet.
Yeah.
Like, although to be honest, when I wrote Fright Manifest, it was almost a throwaway. It was a funny concept that I enjoyed. I was like, oh, Joe, But then after a while of developing it, I was like, okay, it's a silly concept, really, isn't it? It's like, it's a silly concept. The actual standard is, yeah, the center of it is relatively silly, but then I think the characters make it, and the energy that you put into it makes it. It's the same as the naughty list that's coming out. It's got a bit of a. Did you ever read or watch The Monkey, the Stephen King
But yeah.
short story?
Mm-hmm.
It's got monkey energy. Like
Okay.
it's got like, because it's, it's that little horrible thing that is just, it's not a nasty piece of work, and it's
Right.
supposed to be inanimate, but it's not really being an inanimate as you would like it to be. But yeah, so it's got that energy, but I feel that it's not going to be as cheesy as The Monkey.
Yeah.
I would never suggest anything I write was ever going to be better than The King
Yeah.
of Darkness.
Yeah.
I think that it's going to be slightly less cheesy than his sort of
Take.
his take on the similar
Yeah.
concept. But yeah, I would never suggest ever. I've had a lot of people saying, this is the next wave of Stephen King, like in some reviews and stuff. Oh, it's the next wave of Stephen King coming through, like meaning myself. And I wouldn't put myself in the same realm. I think Joe Hill, his son, is definitely taking the mantle a lot closer than I ever could. But even to be like mentioned in the same breath is quite an honor.
Yeah, of course. Awesome. Well, I love that. So we've got lots of things to look forward to from you, and we will be right there reading. And hopefully, as some of this comes out, we can talk again and hear how those things came about,
Absolutely.
and about that
Yeah, we had
definitely.
an
So,
awesome time. I
yep,
loved hearing your perspectives. Thank you so much.
yeah.
And sorry I waffled on for so long. I just realised we've been
Oh
on
No,
for an hour and a half.
no,
no,
that's
look, they all go a different length of
yep,
time, and we had 3 uh things to review at least, and then the new works and lots of, so I it's one of the things that I got so much out of this interview. Like
yep,
I really will just stay thinking about a lot of the things we talked about. So thank you.
yep. Appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of your now. It is evenings.
Yeah, absolutely. But
Yeah,
yeah,
thank you so much. Yeah,
stay in touch. It'll be nice to
yeah,
I
hear
we
your.
really
will.
will.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks
no,
so much. Bye bye.
you're
Thank
most
you.
welcome. Bye bye now.
Yep. Bye.
Fascinating.